Good morning and welcome to Zen Fits here in Blackstone, Virginia, the center of the world. But then you too are the center of the world, you know that. The title of today's talk, this morning's talk, is the Pearl of Quan Yin. The Pearl of Quan Yin. I had no idea, I'd never heard of Quan Yin. Have you? I bet not. Well, you're going to today, this morning. Quan Yin. It all started, I lose track of time, I'm sorry, years ago when a friend of mine was touring China and she went to a Buddhist monastery and found this little blood jade. See that little blood jade with a little statue in it, buried in the mud or dirt behind an outhouse. What is that? She said. She dug it up. My God. And I guess she thought it was a little Buddha. I thought it was a little Buddha. But she brought it back and gave it to me, and it changed my life. I know it's real because it doesn't have made in China on it. Anyway, so I kind of like began to be, what is this that came to me? I thought it was a Buddha, but I went to an import house here in Richmond, and she said, "Oh, that's Quan Yin. Very popular in China, Quan Yin." So now well, who in the hell is Quan Yin? So I began to study who is Quan Yin, and it turns out Quan Yin is the Bodhisattva of Compassion, Avalokiteshvara. Now, Avalokiteshvara is a Hindu or Indian or yoga, part of the yoga mythology of Hinduism, of India. There are many bodhisattvas, and Avalokiteshvara is a bodhisattva of compassion, and Manjushri is a bodhisattva of wisdom. But Kuan Yin is female. So when these Hindu gods or deities have many arms, and they've got weapons, and they've got grace, and they've got all kinds of things, and arms going out everywhere. And so when Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara migrates into Asia, Tibet, in Tibet, she still maintains all the Tibetan gods are all got arms, and they're all abstract figures. They're not real. They don't have flesh and blood. They're not historical in the sense, right? But when Avalokiteshvara migrates from Tibet into China, Avalokiteshvara takes on a human form. So she's a woman. So in China, she becomes the equivalent to the Virgin Mary in the Catholic Church. The Bodhisattva of Compassion, the compassionate heart. The compassionate heart. And when she migrates to Japan, becomes Konan. But the point is that she's no longer in China. The Chinese are very practical people. They don't like metaphysics. They don't like all these gods with 1,000 arms and a million eyes and all of that stuff. You see, they're very down to earth. So they really took Buddhism and made it down to earth, real, practical, human. So all of the teachers in Chinese Zen are very human people. They're not sitting, in clouds of angels and everything, like and all the cosmic stuff, They're very down to earth, just old men. Very simple. But anyway, I hope I don't digress here. So Kuan Yin then became, the Bodhisattva of Compassion. And then I was discovered that she is the Bodhisattva of Compassion, sings the Prajnaparamita. Now the Prajnaparamita is a sutra. Used to be very long, but it's compressed down to just a chant. And this was the sutra, the Prajnaparamita, was a shift in Buddhism around the Common Era, from Hinayana to Mahayana. And in the Mahayana Buddhism, the model, the role model, the savior, so to speak, is not the arhat, the monk who leaves the world to get to nirvana, but is the Bodhisattva of Compassion who stays in the world. In other words, if you want to become awakened, you stay in the world as the world. You don't leave it through ascetic disciplines and turn away from the flesh. Oh, it's sinful. Ew. Ooh, sinful. Drop the flesh. Go to God. Well, that's Hinayana. But Mahayana is embracing the flesh, embracing the world, embracing the dirt, embracing the suffering, being in it, being liberated in the world. And this is through compassion, the Bodhisattva of Compassion. But to get to the Pearl of Quan Yin, for somehow, in my wanderings on the internet, I came across this lady. I've forgotten her name now. I'd have to go through my files and dig it up. But she lived up in Northern Virginia near Charlottesville. And we struck up a resonance about this Quan Yin. And she reviewed, and I may have gone, I don't know, I think I went to see her. She lived in the woods. She was an artist. Beautiful statues of Quan Yin. And around the neck of this Quan Yin statue, she had a little necklace with a pearl on it. Tiny pearl, even smaller than my fingernail, a little teardrop of God, a little pearl. I was so fascinated with it. Oh. And she told me the story of this pearl. She said, well, her sister, who was also a mystical artist, apparently, in New Zealand, had been to an island in Indonesia where there was a monastery to Quan Yin, and there was a statue there that during the night would emit these little pearls, and people would come, and they would get a pearl on a little necklace, you see. And the nuns were very protective. They didn't just give these pearls out as tourist items. But anyway, that's really, but then if you go to Hindu yoga for psychology, you've got gurus over there who emit ash and are doing all of these cities or powers, And so why can't a statue? I don't know. But anyway, there was a pearl. I mean, it was real. And she showed me some pictures of the statue and the pearls. Anyway, so I began to inquire and follow the trail of Quan Yin. And that led me to Albert Lowe in a book called The Heart Sutra, which was a understanding, a framing of the Prajnaparamita in a Western way. So you could get a handle on it. What's going on here? It's a very obscure sutra. It's beyond logic. Well, so is Quan Yin. But anyway. I got involved in Prajnaparamita and the Rinzai Zen of Albert Lowe, which kind of like woke me up out of the I'll just sit Soto Zen, which is kind of like, well, just sit there and wait. Just sit there and wait. Don't do anything. You just wait and you'll be enlightened, Just sit there and wait, then you'll be awakened. Well, the Zen of Albert Lowe was a muscular Zen, was a muscular active Zen. Rinzai Zen is active. You go out and you work in your daily life actively to find the Pearl of Quan Yin. So anyway, to make the story a little shorter, this little omelet, this little Quan Yin has led me on a great adventure here in the autumn of my life. Kind of like the culmination of all my guru yoga and health, self-help, Young and Eckhart Tolle and all of the teachings that we scramble around in today. It's kind of like pointed me and funneled me in a real way And I know it's real because the first time I listened to the Prajnaparamita, the first time I found it, it's a YouTube chant by Oi. And I listened to it. And of course well, what is this chant? So I listened to it. And when I listened to it, my heart began to squeeze like an accordion with tears of sorrow and tears of joy. And joy and sorrow was mixed together like a martini. And it was just squeezing and squeezing and oh, stop, oh, don't stop, oh, stop, oh, don't stop. It went on and on and on. And then it happened again when a person came to my studio who was in great suffering. His wife had committed suicide and he blamed himself. And again, my heart began to squeeze. And Quan Yin was squeezing my heart. Oh, stop, don't stop. Stop. Oh, it's like an orgasm of the heart. It was unbelievable. But it was so real. It was so real. So right then I knew that Quan Yin, for me, was real. This shit is real. It's kind of like a personal 9/11. You know, 9/11 happened. We thought, oh, look. Oh, a plane hit the towers. Oh, that'll be on the news. And then suddenly the second plane hit and suddenly, wait, this shit is real. And then the thing came down. Oh my God, it's real. This can't be happening. That's the way reality is. It's real. But we think it's an illusion. We think it's a dream. We think it's a movie. We think it's a movie. Horror movies are always doing this. You think it's a movie and suddenly a hand reaches out or something happens and oh, it's real. Death is real. Reality is real. It's not a dream. It's not a movie. We're sleeping, you see. So this Quan Yin kind of like woke me up, you see. Woke me up. And so, anyway, I had to get this pearl. So I wrote to this friend of mine. I says, could you let me tell your sister, please, to go to that island and get me a pearl, anything. And the next thing I know, this good lady had sent me her pearl. And I got it in the box. My God, it's the Pearl of Quan Yin. She gave me her pearl. And so I kept it hanging around my statue of Quan Yin. And one day, forget time, I don't know if it was then or later, a neighbor was here with her granddaughter who had been in a great deal of suffering. She's a young lady, beautiful, beautiful girl, addicted to heroin. She couldn't get free. My neighbor had her grandmother, the neighbor was her grandmother, had spent thousands of dollars sending her to rehab. Nothing worked. So I walked in there to see, they were all talking in the kitchen. I walked in there and I met this girl. And damned if she didn't have a little omelet of Quan Yin hanging around her neck. I had never seen Quan Yin in Blackstone. I'd never known anybody that knew Quan Yin. And here she had a statue, a little picture of Quan Yin all around her neck. So I ran into my office and got the pearl and came back with the pictures, the whole thing, the pearl on the necklace, and I gave it to her and I told her the story of Quan Yin. And we didn't really have any relationship, but it's funny because that little pearl, if my house was burning, that would be the thing I would, that would be the thing I would save, you know. And here I was, I didn't know what I was doing. I gave her the Pearl of Quan Yin. And when she left, you know, I said, someday you'll give that to somebody. And so, anyway, time passed. I asked, well, what happened to your granddaughter? You know, oh, she got rid of the addiction. She finished her college, and now she's very successful as something, I don't know. Oh, I said, oh, thank you, Quan Yin. But anyway, I don't attribute anymore. I don't get into cause and effect. Oh, cause and effect, Quan Yin. No, everything rises together. I don't know what causes anything, you see. But anyway, and I can't believe I didn't take a picture of that pearl. I gave her all the evidence of it. So anyway, That was my story of the Pearl of Quan Yin. Thanks for dropping in this beautiful day. Go vote. Go vote.